Hey guys, welcome back to Daniel's Tech World. My name is Daniel Rosehill. This is my little tech corner here of YouTube and the internet more generally. So today I want to talk quickly about the redundancy options that are in Dvdisaster. Dvdisaster, by clicking on the preferences option, you're going to get three options for error correction. Three different storage methods. I'll just go through them quickly one more time. RS01 is the error correction file. This will generate an ECC file which you are supposed to store not on the disk, somewhere else. You have RS02, the augmented image, which will basically say, okay, this thing is 400 megabytes, so the nearest thing is a CD at 700, or a DVD, or a dual layer DVD, or a Blu-ray of up to 3 layers. And it'll say, okay, we're going to augment the image. We're going to add ECC from the size of this file to the nearest capacity. And then finally you have RS03, which allows you to do both options, which I think this is the best of both worlds because you can do them simultaneously. You can firstly create the ECC as a file. Then you can blow that up as an image, blow up your ISO with the ECC, and you can do both. Now, within all of these options, you have different options for redundancy. Now, this is where it gets very complicated. The Dvdisaster project has some amazing documentation. They have a user manual, and they have this file called the Dvdisaster Reed-Solomon code specification. This is the file, and frankly, this stuff is above my pay grade. But if you are not intimidated by taking a very deep dive into the amazing mathematics underpinning Reed-Solomon code and this app, there's actually an interesting Wikipedia on Reed-Solomon and the history of error correction code that is kind of utilized in this. Then they have a really quite impressive, very impressive 33-page PDF, which I would have to show to some kind of genius friend for them to understand. I can't really make sense of it. But the basic concept for us mere mortals is that the more redundancy you have, the better the chance of recovery. Now, there is a minimum recommended redundancy, which is actually you can tune it all the way down to 3%. They recommend 20% in RS01 for recovery. So by default, it's normal, right? And the normal setting I'm just making this video actually also just to kind of explain what the default settings are. So normal is 14.3 in RS01, 32 roots. And again, that's based on the mathematical formula. Then we have high redundancy of 33.5%. And, given that these are being stored, the idea of RS01 is you're storing the ECC offsite, I would kind of say, why not use the high redundancy? Because you're not taking up, you don't have to worry about the capacity of the optical media. And next, you can specify a maximum or a minimum. The minimum is 3.2. And the maximum is 64.5 in RS01, corresponding to 100 roots. And then you can also say use at most space delimited redundancy, that you can choose redundancy. You can specify a max size for the ECC. But, obviously the default is to just leave this at normal, 14.3, but you can crank it up to high as well, and this will actually save as a setting. So our options within RS02 for redundancy, we don't have any actually. It's an augmented image, so as I said, it's going to detect the ISO file, the nearest corresponding media file, and it'll just kind of blow it up, as I say, or increase it. And finally, in RS03, we do have options, and they actually change whether you're looking at file or an image. For an image, there are no settings, just as there are no settings for RS02, because it's going to increase it to the size of the media. But in the file options, you do have options. The normal redundancy is 14.3 as it was in RS01. The higher redundancy is going to be the same as well, I believe. Our higher redundancy, click, 33.5. And finally, we have use at most for the redundancy that you can go as well. And you can crank this one up here in the other option, other redundancy, to 200% in RS03, corresponding to 170 roots. So 200% redundancy would be two times the media, two times the size of the media you're putting onto the disk. So there's actually, you can create more. So you could create, like, if you had a really small file but you wanted to create like tons of ECC, you could do that. You can put it on the disk or keep it off site. And you can go down all the way to 3.2 like in RS01. And these are options for multi-threading as well, the IO parameters for the actual process of writing these on your computer. But I think that's enough detail. For a relative novice like me, I am personally mostly using the RS03 image operator, so I'm not choosing the redundancy. But in cases where I was putting it off-site, copying the file, I would actually go for the high redundancy option, just because, you know, when you're dealing with physical media, the file size are relatively modest and you can actually put a lot of ECC onto your NAS. Hope that was helpful, and until the next video, thank you for watching.